Billiken fans, welcome back. It is Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, of course, we would love it if you are listening or watching on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button. Also, subscribe to us on your favorite audio platform as well. But a huge thank you to all of you who have supported us by supporting Two Men in a Garden these past few years. Thanks to you, they are back for the 25-26 season of the Midtown Madness Podcast. Of course, we got to shout out Joel. We can't thank him and the team enough over there at Two Men in a Garden for keeping the Midtown Madness Podcast rolling. They are the St. Louis Salsa and Pickle Company, bringing you everything from mild to screaming hot salsa, including mango and sugar-free, plus pickles from classic dill to smoky barbecue. They have it. If it meets your taste, they probably have it. Visit them online at twomeninthegarden.com. Shop your favorite flavors and learn more about their Kitchen Hub STL. Don't forget to follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter for the latest updates. Pete, I don't. We're going to do this?
We have to, Zach. We have to.
I'm completely lost right now. I don't have any idea where to begin with this discussion. It's one of those times where we record on Sundays and things come out Monday, Tuesday ish. And you don't even want to go back down the road of discussing it on Sunday. It's the whole thing is just so weird. And it's just weird. It's weird to me. It's another, I don't know.
We should start by grounding the conversation in what actually happened. And that is that SLU and head baseball coach Darin Hendrickson have parted ways.
Well, that is not how it was phrased. I think that's important here, right? I think
what's the right phrasing?
SLU has parted ways with Darin Hendrickson.
Yeah. Okay.
So I do want to say
a little more one way.
Yes, it does. And it's just the whole thing is just another moment in Billiken as a Billiken fan throughout these years where I just throw my hands up and I say, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell just happened?
Yeah.
I have explored every possible scenario on how this all went down, and all of them, like, they end with, why has SLU not released a statement? Regardless, like, I cannot, he's no longer on People Finder. He is currently, or last time I checked, not employed officially by the university. He has yet to be scrubbed from the SLU website. This happened. It's also funny because last Friday, SLU Athletics posted a blog, whatever, a post on Billikens.com, a news release about the baseball fundraiser, which had happened the night before. And by end of day, on Friday, the next day, it was gone. And I understand a week, right? Friday to Friday, news dump, Monday, the leak comes out, the report, and 10 days since it hits like the public view, nothing. It's just weird, top to bottom.
The way we found out of this, it was originally posted by Kendall Rogers, who is, if you follow him on social media, he's a co-owner of what's called D1 Baseball. So it's just kind of like college baseball news, right? And you're right, Zach, the way that he did post this on September 9th, just to kind of ground you in the time frame here, Scoop, SLU Baseball has parted ways with longtime head coach Darin Hendrickson in a rather surprising move in the fall, I'm told. Hendrickson spent the last 18 seasons with the Billikens, winning 6 A-10 regular season titles and making 3 NCAA tourney appearances. He then followed up that post to say, with the sudden news out of St. Louis, the expectation is that SLU Baseball will promote Miles Miller to interim head coach for the 2026 season. But as you said, Zach, here we are the night of Sunday, September 14th, and we still have nothing in terms of information. Not even, like, even if they wanted to pretend nothing happened and just like, oh, here's our interim baseball coach for this season. We're not even going to acknowledge nothing, just complete radio silence.
There's no, in my mind, there's really nothing. Like, if this is normal, there's no reason why you can't just, again, like you said, this is our interim coach, but like, you just have to say, Darin Hendrickson is no longer the coach at St. Louis University. Like, just say it. It's real. It's factual. And it's not like there's any interpretation, right? It doesn't, it's official, but it's not official. Like, his employment status is official. Him, like, being on the website and being listed there is not official within the scheme. It just, there's no reason to just acknowledge it and have it happen and it's over. Like, that's it.
Right.
You don't have to say anything else.
Yeah, you don't have to give a reason. You don't have to say it was a difference in philosophy. You don't have to say anything. You can just say we parted ways, and that's that.
It's hard to say that this 100%. There's nothing performance here. Look at. We have career highlights. I put in here. I said pick and choose. You don't have to list it because there's a lot of them, right? Yep. And again, all from the SLU webpage. Right. He recorded 1,000 wins, all-time winningest head coach in baseball history. Maybe as it pertains to SLU, maybe the winningest coach of all time at SLU in any sport, as far as number of wins goes. Now, again, baseball, longer seasons, but he very well may be the winningest coach in Billiken history, just based on kind of, again, he's had 11 draft picks here at SLU. He 41 victories in back-to-back seasons in 2012, 2013. He is, 2024. So less than 2 years ago, right? No, a year ago? 1 year ago. Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year. Not since Jim Cruz have we seen 2018 Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year, 2012 Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year, the first national ranking in school history. Dude,
it's not just the wins, it's the win percentage. He became the winningest coach in program history 7 years ago.
Yes.
And just has added onto that since then. Like you said, over 1,000 wins as a college head coach, over 500 as SLU's head coach. There's absolutely nothing to point to in terms of performance, because what you have here is a guy who has built a really impressive body of work at SLU despite having no advantages, right? So to me, this is like an unimpeachable record on paper. So it certainly couldn't be performance related. They could never make that argument. They'd have to say something else if they said anything at all.
Which they don't have to, apparently.
They don't have to. They just have to acknowledge that it happened. And by the way, this is just in case anyone is confused. This is not a single tweet. We've had this confirmed by many people since this has happened. So this is real. This is on
People Finder.
Right. Yeah.
It's on People Finder. Okay. Here is the long and hard truth. Not long and hard. Here's the truth. It is Darin Hendrickson is no longer employed at the university. That is People Finder is the Bible if you want to know if somebody's,
that's a good
student or a faculty at St. Louis University. People Finder will tell you. If they are not in People Finder, it's a 99% chance they don't work there. So it's not performance based. What the fuck happened here? And I want to be clear. When I say that, I know what didn't happen here. I don't know. I'm sorry. I am extremely confident that, and you and I have had this conversation, I think we both agree. There's nothing salacious, nothing scandalous with the baseball program. I don't think there was any sort of investigation. I don't think anything like that. It doesn't make sense for there to be an investigation, because we would have kind of known somehow, some way that would have gotten out. Like,
yeah,
even if you put him on leave, like if you think something that bad's going, you put someone, on leave while they're like, this isn't like, I just don't see how it involves, first of all, from people that I've talked to, alumni that have kind of been aware. Like, I don't think that's the case.
So some of the early theories were, well, something had to happen at the fundraiser, right? Like something went down.
That's entirely possible.
Except there were dozens of people there. And like you said, we've heard nothing. Like, there's baseball alums. There's a really tight network. As soon as this news
very
came
small,
out,
but very tight.
we had people, shooting us messages. We had people in our ear, and every single source, every single story we got lines up, and there's really nothing. There's not an incident. Nothing. There's not an investigation.
I mean,
the reasons coaches get let go in this part of the calendar is usually something. I will admit, it's usually something bad. It's not just we thought it was time, because that happens when the coaching cycle is going around, which is earlier in the calendar.
And to say that, I mean, did something happen at the fundraiser? I don't think it was something. It might have been something that happened at the fundraiser, but not like some sort of overt scene, right?
No, not a headline, not an investigation. Yeah, no.
Yeah. I mean, look, like, I think anyone who has been to a Billiken baseball game, anyone who's been around that program, if you've talked to enough alumni, they will say a couple things. They'll say that Darin Hendrickson is hard nosed. They will say he is an old school guy. Certainly, can rub people the wrong way, is brash. He's that way when he protects his players, and he's that way, as a head coach. We talk about the George Mason, that debacle when they accused him of cheating. He's not without his detractors. And, but I don't think it's a secret. If it is a secret, it's the worst kept secret around St. Louis University, is that Chris May and Darin Hendrickson did not get along. And I think that was probably most apparent when it came to facilities. I think Darin had a vision, and I know I've talked to alumni who helped him fundraise parts of that stadium. And, I think Hendrickson wanted more, whether that be, I think, obviously I think he's always, he's, press box. Every player that I've talked to complained about the air conditioning. We've seen tweets from former players, like the air conditioning in the hitting cage, the bleachers not being ADA accessible, being 25 years old or whatever. They're almost as old as me. Genuinely.
You're older than 25.
Yeah, I forgot that.
That was nice. It was a nice try.
I mean, I think there's a lot that could be done. And I think Hendrickson probably thought there was a lot that could be done. And I think, this is 18 years of guys who had no love lost for each other, and they worked under the same roof. And at the end of the day, somebody said the magic words, whether it be, I don't know, but I don't know what happened. What I know is this is probably a lot to do with financial and, 18 years of butting heads over, what SLU baseball could be.
I'm going to throw a couple other variables at you. We know that the university department heads are being asked to operate on tighter budgets than they typically have before, right? And let's say your name is Chris May, and you've got a coach who's the last coach in your athletic department that you did not directly hire. Yeah. And he's been around for a while, and you get a little salary, cost of living bump, whatever, every year.
Mhm.
It's not cheap to keep somebody there for almost 2 decades. I understand
Contrary to
that.
the song.
Yeah. And so now you have a situation where you've got an interim coming in who's going to be making a lot less money. So you just freed up a little budget right there if you're Chris May. So it kind of solves two problems in one for him, right? I get rid of a guy who's a strong personality who I never saw eye to eye with. I free up a little bit of money for the department at the same time. So there's that. The other factor I'll give you is that does it make sense to do a coaching change in September and not May or June? No, it doesn't, because that's not when baseball coaches move around. But we had a president change at the university as of July 1st. And May probably thinks, well, here's my window to do this sort of quietly. And with a new president who's not going to think something's up with this, who's not necessarily going to think that this is unusual or deserves more scrutiny or anything like that. So
and I'll even throw out there that maybe the president instructed the athletic department that a budgetary move needs to be made, and then like you say, it's Hendrickson's he's the Jim Halliburton. He's the new Jim Halliburton. He's the new most tenured guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and right, and so that it gives him that much more money to play with in the budget this year,
right?
Whatever he's got to cut out of there. So I think there are a lot of reasons if you're Chris May and this guy's kind of been a thorn in your side for a long time. You go, hey, you know what? Maybe now's the right time. It isn't the right time for the coaching carousel. It's not the right time for the players. That bugs me. These guys have been taking classes for less than a month, but they are into the school year. This is not a time of year where it's easy to transfer to another program. So this screws over players who have come here to play baseball for Darin Hendrickson. And we pay lip service, to student athletes and gratitude and all that kind of stuff. But when you fire their coach after the academic year has already started, that really sucks. That's not a great way to treat your student athletes who you want to be so grateful for their situation.
And you know what? We don't know exactly. To be honest with you, I mean, we know that Darin Hendrickson's no longer the coach at SLU. We know that he hosted the fundraiser the night before. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that on Thursday night when Darin Hendrickson went to bed, he expected to be the head coach on Saturday morning.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how it went down. I don't know if someone fired somebody, if it was a take your pick, if it was an argument ensued, and by God, Hendrickson just kind of was like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't know. The point is none of those scenarios should come to fruition.
No.
The thing is, I know, again, like I mentioned the new president, and maybe again, he's supposed to help the financials balance them. And you're saying, well, I'm sure non-revenue sports are going to get hit. And you're right. And you know what? I am still going to say that that's on the athletic director, because I don't think we're having this conversation if SLU basketball hasn't saw more success in the last 11 years. If it saw a couple more NCAA tournaments, regardless of what's happening with the budget in the school, the athletic department is doing fine.
The single most important thing, aside from just getting people in seats and buying merch on an ongoing basis to fund your athletic program, is NCAA tournament credits. We're not a football school. We don't have a power conference football program. Obviously, that just changes the whole economics of a department. What we need is regular NCAA tournament appearances. You make it in there, you get those credits. that stack up for every round of the tournament you're in.
Mhm.
And those have a tail on them. They pay out over the course of a few years. And that's gone when your last tournament appearance is 2019. So we're sitting on a big hole. Well, we just don't have that extra. It's one thing if you're being told to operate at, say, I'll use the number 90% of the budget that you used last year because of austerity measures university wide, right? Every department head has to deal with it. So deal with it. Fine. But 90% of a smaller pie is going to hurt a lot more than 90% of a much bigger pie because you've made a couple NCAA tournaments in the last 5 years.
Mhm.
So you've made this point repeatedly over the past week, Zach, and I think it's a really, really smart point because that for a program like SLU, that's everything. That's everything. And we don't have that because of the absolute failure of giving Jim Cruz a long-term contract and then following up with Travis Ford.
And following up again with an extension.
And another one. I mean, like extending that guy multiple times based on, I don't know, nothing is kind of a choice. So I am just, I feel sorry for every department head who has to deal with really uncomfortable decisions this year. I hate that. I don't like it for my alma mater. I don't want that for any department. I don't care what it is. But Chris May made his own bed here in a lot of ways by making his own job so much harder, by making things so much harder on everybody in his department with these decisions, hiring those coaches back to back and then extending forward again and again. It's just we have no NCAA tournament appearances to show for it. We don't have those NCAA tournament credits. That's everything. It's devastating.
And what makes it worse is again that Travis Ford payout.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's another. You're 90% of your budget, and then you've got whatever annuity you're sending his way. I think that's the right word, annuity. I try to sound smart there.
You get so Chris May, right? Like the
it's my money and I want it now.
The thing about Chris May is like when you talk about pros and cons or strengths and weaknesses, whatever. It was always seen as a strength of his that he had the donors regularly giving large amounts of money and all on the same page with one another. And those donors were the people that he had to sell on Travis Ford as being the guy. And for most of Travis Ford's tenure, they felt like that was the right thing to do. They felt like that was money well spent. But then that ends in them having to buy him out. And that was a very, very expensive buyout. No matter what you think about Ford or when he deserved to be let go or anything like that, that's a lot of money that those people had to eat, and that's not fun. That's not fun. When you then have to keep running this department moving forward, those same people are going to go, you know what? I believed in you once, I believed in you twice, a third time, and I kind of got burned on all of those things. Not to mention 20 of your donors all ponied up $1 million apiece to build the Champions Center. And whether they think it was a good idea or not, right, as NIL is getting underway, whether they think it was a good idea or not, whether they think it was money well spent or not, they're going to be less inclined to give you another big check right now. So if you're Chris May, you've got this perfect storm of belt tightening and budget constraints and donations not coming in. Maybe donors who have even lost faith in him. I would be pretty confident to say I bet a lot of people are kind of like, I'm kind of done cutting your checks, buddy. This hasn't worked out for me the way I wanted it to. So there's a perfect storm of events that are all, leading to crap like this, firing a successful 18-year coach and replacing him with an interim.
And, again, it might have been just, I think that no matter what, whether there was some extra juice in this fire, extra firing, the juice, I think there is absolutely an aspect of financial, belt tightening. And I've talked about it. I said this was I talked about it with the swimming and diving. I talked about it with, tennis. And then I talked about it with, field hockey, obviously. And it's working its way up to the sports people care about. Now, soccer will likely continue to be propped up by Kavanaugh, and that's great. I'm super happy that our soccer program can't be touched, because that's about the most pride I've taken in Billiken athletics, outside of sure. softball, in the last couple of years. So I've come up with so many ways to describe where SLU athletics is right now, and I think that where I land is that this year, financially is Chris May putting all his chips on red. There is a clear gutting. I mean, how many interim coaches do we have?
Well,
two
baseball,
or three.
Hockey.
Yeah.
Is there a third?
It's just it's a gutting of non-revs and everything except for soccer. Like I said, soccer is going to remain because it has its financial backer that, is there, Mark Cuban. But this is putting everything on basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, that should always be the case. But like this is such a clear overextension of resources that to get it feels like you're taking, we shouldn't be at this point.
Yeah.
And it's sacrificing, people like Hendo. And hopefully I think the hope is obviously that down the road, when the money comes back with NCAA credits, God willing, I think then they'll be able to replace it, which is man, that sounds like some terrible financial decisions I've made in my life.
How much time do you think he has? Do you think it's this year or bust in terms of NCAA credits? Yeah. I kind of am getting that idea too. I don't know who would have patience left with him. I think he's lucky to have a new university president in place.
Yeah.
But
I wondered, it's funny. That's interesting. I would have probably said he wasn't lucky. I don't know. I guess, I don't think Postello would have done anything.
Maybe, but at least Postello has enough context, right?
Yeah.
So if a couple of the more sports minded board members or other people with access to Postello got in his ear and were kind of hey, here's kind of how we feel about it. And Postello would have the at least context of that. Would you have a new president and he's probably going to give people the benefit of the doubt for a little bit, right? There's no reason not to. He's going to see how it goes for a little bit. I don't know how long it would be before somebody like him goes, man, I'm not really liking how this athletic director operates. I don't know if I see that necessarily happening. I think he's probably too busy with other things this year for that to be a focus. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess I could be persuaded either way on that, not knowing what those conversations are like exactly. But I think Zach, when you say put all the chips on red, I think this is kind of a do or die year for men's basketball for a lot of people. It is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get into it eventually, but just a quick kind of explanation of why is that, it's Robbie Avila's last year. Next year would be another need to reload. And it's, I think not reload. Yeah, we'll reload, not rebuild, because nobody does that anymore. Look, bottom line, from my perspective, I don't believe this is anything more than a coach and an athletic director who've worked under the same roof for 18 years. Again, like I said, one of the worst kept secrets that these two they didn't pick each other. Again, this was Rick Majerus and Dustin McGuire, except nothing like that at all. Chris May didn't pick Hendo. Hendo didn't pick Chris May. Hendrickson believed they never saw eye to eye. I think after 18 years, whether that be financial reasons, whether that be personal reasons, something gave way. We've said it, but I was told Friday was his last day. I don't believe that Hendrickson would have gone in there and quit after literally just walked in with the intention of quitting, right?
No,
he might have walked. He might have said, which is fine.
I don't think so. I think it's more likely that this was, this fundraiser was kind of hand in hand with, hey, I'm holding up my end of the bargain. Let's get some upgrades to the facility, or just otherwise a tone of impatience, right? That I don't know what the straw that broke the camel's back is. I think it was more than anything else. I think this was just a small window of opportunity for Chris May, and I think the way you phrase this is right. Two guys didn't see eye to eye under the roof for the same roof for 18 years. And one of them, the boss thought this was his moment.
Yeah,
I think that's it. That's all this is.
Yeah, it's again, the delay between the news leaking and the actual announcement, which there hasn't been as of recording this Sunday night. I don't know.
Right.
Do we hear anything tomorrow?
Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if they might wait until closer to baseball season before saying, here's our interim coach this year. I mean, nothing would surprise me.
Just weird. It feels like I don't know what. I just cannot believe we continue this like, it's just Keystone Cops sometimes out of this university and this athletic department. I do want to leave this with, a thank you to Darin Hendrickson for being for unbelievable, memories watching, the baseball team in the NCAA tournament for a game that I don't remember at all. Well, actually I do remember the game. I don't remember getting in my Uber and then waking. I woke up. I don't know. But just for believing, for being a guest on our show, first of all, or second of all, and really for believing in what a sport at St. Louis University could be, and believing in what SLU athletics should be. I think he's a Billiken Hall of Famer, and I think it's fucked up. I don't know what happened, but it's fucked up, and I just don't. That's the only reason I see this taking so long.
He stayed in a job like he was hired into a job by an athletic director who was gone almost immediately after him taking the job. He stayed for 18 seasons under a boss that he, wasn't his guy, and vice versa. He was patient. He was loyal to SLU. He made a lot out of a little, and we've seen how many people come through, and especially in men's basketball, and do so little with so much. Yeah. And he was the opposite of that. And you're right. I mean, like, the guy was a true Billiken. He's a Billiken Hall of Famer. This bothers me, you find a lot of really little things to quibble with Chris May about that I just really don't care about that much. But this one really, really got to me, man. This is, this feels like one that to me is indicative of a much bigger problem within the athletic department than just somebody who I don't like the way he runs little things day to day. I mean, this is I don't know. This is beyond the pale to me.
It's wild. I just, I had something to say, and then I got you were going, and I was like, this is a great monologue by you, and then I forgot.
Let me add one more little tidbit before you wrap it up, because I know you're a big Hendo guy and everything, but the only baseball news that I expected to talk about on the show this week, Zach, and I had it all the way in the bottom of the notes, because it was just a commitment, just a high school commitment that came in, and it was the night before we heard the coaching news, and that's this 2026 kid, Logan Sutton, a 5'11", 185-pound shortstop outfielder from Liberty High School, KC Prodigy Prospects, who, by the way, also plays wide receiver and defensive back for his high school football team. He committed to SLU, and the next day we find this out, and I just wonder how he and his family are feeling right now. I imagine he'll reopen his recruitment, but we don't know anything further yet. No. But that's what I thought we would have to say about baseball this week. Like, hey, new commitment, kid from Kansas City, that's it. And now we have to think about something much, much bigger.
Yeah, I just think I just would really, I really urge people to take a step back here and understand that this is like it's another moment in a long line of just what the fuck moments. And I would really, I'm just, yeah, let's, I have so much more to say, but I just really I don't feel like continuing to belabor the point. It's frustrating. It feels like every time SLU takes a step forward, they take 2 steps back.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's messed up. Anyway, that was a really weird segue. But let's talk about men's basketball. That's why, men's basketball is the driving force behind all the non-rev sports. We just talked about it.
Yes, we did.
So it's our number one priority.
Yeah, and our number one priority this week to talk about men's basketball, Zach, is to take it up to Philadelphia on Hawk Hill and figure out what the heck is going on at St. Joe's, because this was the A10 news of the week.
How? Like, how is there a worse athletic department decision? Like, this is so, like, it's incredible. Hold on. There's layers to this. This is an onion of news because
this is why I like this story so much.
Because Billy Lange announced his resignation on Wednesday for a player development job with the New York Knicks. And I believe someone on Twitter described it as he was going to rebound for one of the Philly players on
Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. And, you're like, yes. I mean, well, you're like, no, because remember, everyone loves a bad coach because you can beat his ass.
That's right. That's right.
And so everyone is bummed, but excited for the A10 because, they got rid of the anvil that is Billy Lange. And then you're thinking St. Joe's is making a commitment here. They're going to do something.
Mm-hmm. They were too good at basketball for too long. They're in a basketball crazed city like Philadelphia. All these historic rivalries. Like they're going to do this right. Like Billy Lange's finally gone. They've been saddled with this bad coach.
Which, by the way, I really hope that New York Knicks bought out his contract.
Oh,
like to be a player development coach.
That would be hilarious. I mean, there's a lot of money in the NBA, but I don't know if they're that dumb. He was, by the way, before he came to St. Joe's, he was an NBA assistant for 6 years with the Nets, I think, or no, the Sixers.
That's the process.
The Sixers, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So he was there from 2013 to 2019 before taking over at St. Joe's. So it's very weird to see him like kind of go back and do that. I raise an eyebrow at the why and the timing, especially because this is again September. But then St. Joe's announced almost immediately associate head coach Steve Donahue would take over as head coach with no interim tag, and everybody was like, "Wait, don't they mean interim?" Then later that day, we find out they signed him to a multi-year contract, Zach. They pulled off the preemptive Jim Crews. Like they didn't even wait for him to babysit, 2 Rick Majerus leftover teams to successful seasons, which I think you or I could have done with that group. They were so good. They didn't even let him, do well for a season before doing it. They did it ahead of time. And to give you some background to this, Donahue was the head coach for Penn for about a decade. Before that, he was the head coach at Boston College and Cornell. He made 3 straight tournament appearances at Cornell, which he turned into the BC job. He was bad there. He got fired and went back to the Ivy League. He made 1 tournament at Penn and was mostly pretty mediocre there. And by the way, he's 63 years old, so it's not like he's this, kid who flew a little too close to the sun in his like 30s or 40s or something like that and came back down to earth. Like, no, he's been around a long time. Just doing the math, if you spend a decade in the Ivy League and make one tournament, you've kind of underperformed because there's only 8 teams in the league. I don't know what they see in this guy. I really don't. And to sign him, you didn't have to do this. You could have made him interim head coach. You could have just said, hey, he's head coach for this year and we'll pay him like a head coach for this year. You didn't have to give him a multi-year contract. This is crazy.
She went on about, first of all, she said we need the fan support, and I'm getting sick.
She being the athletic director.
Yes, the athletic director. I apologize. It's like Brighton House or something. I don't know. But anyway, but she gets on the mic and she's like, Donahue, Coach Donahue is going to need the fan support this year. We need you there. It's like, he's like, somehow along the way, and I'm as guilty of this as anybody else, along the way, we allowed sports teams to just slap us in the face and then lie to us about it. Like it and then tell us to come back for more. And it's good for us. Like I just, it's insane to me to do this and then, be like, hey, we still need you fans,
Yep.
It's, you paid for season tickets. I'm sure season ticket renewal, like again, SLU down payments were due. I assume St. Joe's were due. So, I mean, this isn't the only thing to have. This isn't the only fallout. Again, there's layers to this shit. It's insane.
Adding a little bit of insult to injury, Zach, they were dropped from the Players Era Showcase, quote, due to stipulations in the contract, unquote. So this is the Las Vegas MTE with prize money for players. So I can't imagine the guys at St. Joe's are very happy about how this all went down. But they were in that event, and they seemed like kind of a little bit of an overmatched program given the other teams in that event. But it had to do with Billy Lange's relationship with the people who put it together. So they had a stipulation in the contract smartly, like what a well-written contract, that, hey, if our guy isn't there, we can just throw this team out. And that's exactly what they did.
And it's, I mean, I'm sure it was used as a recruiting tool.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just
for sure. If you're choosing between two or three programs, you're agonizing over this final decision. You go, well, hey, at the very least this year, I can go out in Vegas and get paid if we win a couple games, get paid extra. Now that's gone. That's crazy to me.
It is just an unbelievable comedy of errors. I can't believe that there's, the only thing the key, like this is SLU level Keystone Cop shit. And it's been that way for like 6 years now. You fire Phil Martelli,
which is insane.
a legend, again, whose son, maybe a Nepo baby, may also be a good coach. We don't know yet. Still left to be determined. Phil Martelli Jr. is now the head coach of the top program in the league and VCU's highest rated incoming class ever. Not only that, but you lose when you get rid of Phil Martelli, you lose the support of Jameer Nelson.
All for Billy Lange.
The alienation.
I just like
incredible.
Somebody explain to me how this was worth it. Like we've had the whole Travis Ford experience. We've been burned by that, but somebody's got to explain to me why they sacrificed so much for Billy Lange. Like that's wild to me. PD Buckets, our friend from George Mason, put this well. The Billy Lange best friend. The Billy Lange era, 22-60 in his first 3 seasons. Keep Phil, and they'd have had Bones and Jameer Jr. during this time, by the way. He peaked at 11-7 in the A10, never sniffed an A10 title, championship game, double bye, or an NCAA tournament. Didn't deserve a 6th year, got it anyway, and then left less than 60 days before the season started. He had the 3rd best roster in the A10 last year at the very least, underachieved badly, lost his 3 best players, absolutely did not deserve another bite at the apple. Now the AD has to pretend that Steve Donahue was the plan all along. St. Joe's should be a premier mid-major job. It's it's really incredible. Like when you kind of just back up and look at the whole thing. And Zach, any longtime listener of this show knows how we feel about Billy Lange. No one in the A10 knew how to do less with more. But again, this move is just baffling. It's like the A10. Her name's Jill Bodensteiner, by the way. Like she wanted to show some strength and communicate that the program's in good hands, that this was always the backup plan. They'll be fine. But instead, it just looks like they locked themselves into another period of mediocrity by giving this guy a long-term contract. And I just, that Logan Roy, that quote, I love so much the way that he delivers that is just, you are not serious people. And I love thinking of that all the time when I watch programs like this make decisions like this. This has been a really entertaining story to me, but Billy Lange, as an opposing A10 fan, you will be missed. That game that they had that game at SLU in hand 2 years ago during that train wreck Ford season. Up double digits in Chaffetz, switches to a zone in the second half. SLU scores 55 points in the second half because Gibson Jimerson goes nuts from three, and we won 88-85. I'm just like, you can't buy that kind of coaching if you're an opponent. Like that's all you want.
That is, I mean, that game was incredible too.
The only thing that would really like logically tie up this whole story to me is if it came out that he were throwing games. Had some kind of gambling problem.
Yeah, I've said that about like, because there have been a lot. Like it's starting to reach.
Oh yeah, tip of the iceberg.
You're seeing. I think we've seen 15 or 16 just be named in the last like, a couple of months here. And I mean, looking back on those Ford teams, like you almost want to like make an excuse for Ford that his players were throwing games along the way. It's just so stupid. The amount of talent those teams had.
Watching his schemes though, I don't think they needed to try. I think he had it drawn up pretty well for them not to maximize their talents.
Oh boy. Let's talk recruiting. There's a lot to go over here. I'll let you wheel and deal.
Yeah, dude. I did not expect to have this much good stuff to talk about this week. So I want to start with the negative. I want to close the loop on some guys. Eli Sancombe, who was going to take an official visit to SLU, committed to Liberty on Tuesday. SLU was in his top 5, along with Loyola, Iowa, and Colorado State. Liberty was his first official visit of those 5. And I guess he liked it enough to just stick with it. He becomes their highest rated commitment of all time, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, they've never really been much. Gavin and Gallagher Placide are down to 6 finalists. Kansas, LSU, Mississippi State, NC State, Wake Forest, Florida State. They'll announce their decision on the 18th later this week. SLU offered, but never seemed to be a contender. They're big, tall twins, really talented kids. I think they'll be solid.
Twins.
Kansas might be a little bit of a stretch, but I could see them working at some of those other places. Ethan Harris committed to Iowa on Saturday. Versatile, skilled, 6'9" wing forward from Washington State. I think Iowa's a really good fit. He'll look pretty natural there. And then Julian Washington, the 6'4" point guard from Ohio. I think he's from like Sandusky area. Narrowed his top 10 down to 4. SLU was in the top 10, but the top 4 is Cincinnati, Florida Atlantic, Northern Iowa, and Dayton. So hopefully we don't run into him down the road. So that's the negative stuff, Zach. Now I'll go to the positive and positives. Number 1, Liss Hurley Brutus, recent visitor, named as top 6, and SLU is in it, along with LSU, Gonzaga, K-State, Utah, and South Florida, which is a really unique group, by the way. He already visited SLU and still has to visit most of the others. About SLU, he said, a great visit and set the standards very high for every other school. They have a great system that I fit in with a great coaching staff. So hopefully nobody else meets those high standards, but I don't know. That's tough competition for the next 5. Lastly, Zach, we've got some offers and visits, and I'll go with the offer who is going to be a visit. This was a new one. Christian Gibson, 2026 combo guard, 6'5", 190. He's from Houston, but he attends Tennessee Collegiate Academy. played at AAU this season for Houston Hoops, which is a Nike EYBL program. He's really good, smooth, smart, efficient, big frame, knows how to use it in traffic. He defends, scores on 3 levels. He is a legit 4-star top 75 player. I think he's within the top 75 on all the major ranking services. He's like in the 60s or low 70s. So his other offers: LSU, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, Houston, Texas Tech, TCU, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Cal, UNLV, Memphis, Wichita State, Central Florida, Rice, UTSA, Sam Houston State, Tarleton State. He's got a ton of offers, and it's one of those recruitments you're kind of like, why now? How's SLU getting in now? But come to find out, as we've been recording this, he's got official visits scheduled to Central Florida and SLU. SLU is going to be October 9th to the 11th. Central Florida is this coming weekend. He averaged 23.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, and almost 2 assists per game for Houston Hoops. So that makes him one of the higher scorers on the whole Nike EYBL circuit. That is not an easy thing to do. That's kind of the gold standard of those AAU programs. So that's a big one. 3 other visit notes: Trey Edwards, a 2028 5-star from Texas, visited SLU kind of on the low key, like quietly, after very publicly taking a visit to Mizzou. He's originally from St. Louis. He attended Chaminade for middle school before moving south. So one to keep an eye on, but right now he's rated in the top 15 of the 2028 class. So that would be crazy. And then Harris Reynolds visited this week. He was supposed to visit next month, but moved it up. He's ranked number 112 by Rivals, 125 by 24/7 Sports, 6'5" guard from Atlanta. He's already visited Clemson and Virginia Tech. South Florida is going to be next after SLU. Last note, because I know I've been talking for a while, Schertz was out to see Aidan Chronister again this weekend. He will visit campus just under 2 weeks from now. I want to say September 26th is what I saw. So that is that's that for recruiting, Zach. A lot of good stuff, a lot of irons in the fire. So even though a lot of guys are committing elsewhere and closing out, we've got those good notes. And I wanted to shout out SLU Radio Boy, Franchise 89 on Billikens.com. I saw their notes before I saw them in our Twitter feed, so we'll want to give those guys credit too.
Man, I forgot we were recording, actually. No. 2 men in a garden.
You just made me check, man. We are.
Yeah, no. I forgot I was just listening to the dulcet tones of Peter Hale. Let's talk about 2 men in a garden. You talk some more.
Man, I'm not quite all talked out because I do love 2 men in a garden. And I want to find out if anybody has tried those bare knuckle barbecue sauces yet. I'm like, the thing about it is I want to order all of them, because you can buy what they call the entire team for $39.99. You can get like all 5 of them. It's $7.50 a piece if you don't. As a reminder, these are the ones they did kind of as a special line with former Blues enforcers. And I think proceeds go to a charity. I don't know all the details. I probably should before I started talking, but I just don't go through enough barbecue sauce to justify buying 5 bottles of barbecue sauce at once. Maybe I'll do it if I'm just like feeling crazy one night. But anyway, if you guys have tried these, let me know. I'm curious. And while you're over at 2minutegarden.com, if you want them and haven't bought them yet, check out all their other Kitchen Hub products. They've got great stuff over there. They still sell like the Antonino's marinara. I love Antonino's. They sell float trip pickles and relish. They've got cocktail syrups and what's called pistachios, these like seasoned pistachios. There's a lot of really good stuff over there. Go check it out. 2minutegarden.com. And then go to their Kitchen Hub products and you'll find some good stuff there. And with their new facility in Kirkwood, we think you're going to be seeing more and more in the Kitchen Hub over the years. So that's a great partnership. I've made some good discoveries that way. And yeah, check them out, 2minutegarden.com.
Let's head over to the soccer field, because I still think, I think this Billiken team is very much for real. And an absolute threat to win the A10 this year. I don't think Dayton's the favorite. I think SLU is right now. Right now they're still ranked, and I think they'll be ranked tomorrow.
They should be, Zach, after a week where they came in number 24 in the United Soccer Coaches Poll, 22 by Top Drawer Soccer, and they were playing Portland at home. Portland's number 9 in the Coaches Poll, number 12 in Top Drawer Soccer. They played to a scoreless draw on Friday the 12th at Herman. And Zach, I got it. You saw more of this game than I did. I was able to watch some of it, but not the whole game. And what I saw was a pretty even game. There was a lot of skill on the field. Two teams that really don't concede much at all. And
I mean, Portland does have they come in with a pedigree of high flying offense, and they showed that early in this one, Pete. A few good chances, and I mean they had a lot of the possession earlier. They were very deliberate. They got the ball, they got it to a place, they went towards the net. They were very much focused on funneling that ball towards the net, and I still don't think they had as many great chances as SLU did, especially in that first half. SLU probably had 2 or 3 golden opportunities. They couldn't capitalize. Javi O'Neal sent one over the bar, just barely. Quentin Blair was on the doorstep and couldn't finish. Portland keeper made the save. Heckenleibel had a couple good runs in the box in the second half, but couldn't get a clean shot. Mm-hmm. A pretty evenly played game overall. But again, you could take that game and say SLU is lucky to come away with a tie. You could also say Portland was very lucky to come away with a tie. So I really was happy. The Billikens, you'd like to get a win at home, regardless of the opponent, being that you are one of the best soccer teams in the country. But I think a 0-0 draw is absolutely a good result here.
Yeah, I think so too. There was a point, I missed the beginning of the game, and I saw on Discord, I think it was Moitoy saying like he thought SLU was getting dominated and lucky to be like it was a scoreless game. So I was, by the time I had logged in, I popped the game on. And what I saw for the rest of the first half, I thought, oh, this is actually a pretty evenly fought game. I thought SLU, maybe even late in the first half, looked like the better team. And then for most of the second half, I thought it was pretty even too. That was the half. Like I missed those really good opportunities SLU had early, but I did see Heckenleibel make a couple runs. I saw a couple other like build-ups where I thought, okay, this could be something. Portland is a very good defensive team. They've got a really good keeper. They actually have not conceded a goal yet this season. And I know SLU doesn't really give up much in the back. So that's really that impressed me. That team, I think, has outperformed expectations for sure. But I just saw 2 really high class teams going back and forth, really.
Yeah, I thought, I thought SLU again, like looked good offensively. I thought Portland was just good defensively too. And I thought nobody deserved to lose, but both teams deserved to win.
Yeah.
I thought. So
that's a good way of putting it.
And that's so uniquely soccer.
It is.
It's so stupid because it's kind of like it's circular. You talk yourself in a circle and you really say nothing.
Yeah.
The shots were 8-6 Billikens. Shots on goal were 4-3 Portland. Corners were 11-5 Portland, but they really didn't get any opportunities out of that. They didn't really put anything towards goal from what I can recall. The SLU committed 6 fouls, Portland 3, but Portland had 4 yellow cards to the Billikens 3. What was that other yellow? Was that a bench?
There was one on a bench. I think early in the second half. That was crazy though. Like 6-3 in fouls, you go, oh, that's a pretty clean game, and then you're like, wait, 7 yellow cards. So it's like anytime they did foul, and I saw a few of those yellows. Like they were tackles from behind and shit like that. It was they were fouls. They were legit fouls or cards, I should say.
They're still looking for goal scorers, Pete. Yeah. Anybody want to score a goal here? The skill and pace are there with this team. The passing is there. They look fantastic when they turn a team over and they push the ball. The pace is really where they shine. The defense and goalkeeping obviously have been stout. You look at the way they handled Portland in that game. They just have to finish. Anybody want to put the ball in the net?
They do. And I asked last week, I was like, are we just going to see one of these games where it just completely breaks open, right? And it's like a 4-0 win or something like that. I don't know if that'll be this week or not. Look, I mean, they've got Missouri State coming up. That game's on Tuesday the 16th. And then Saturday, they start A-10 play at Duquesne. Last season, they played to a scoreless tie at Missouri State, but they won 3-0 at Duquesne. So maybe we'll kind of see that scoring breakthrough where these guys kind of start to figure it out. Missouri State this season, they're pretty good. They beat Seattle 4-1. They lost at a ranked Kansas City 2-1. They won at Penn State 3-1. They tied Central Arkansas, who's always good. And then they beat Temple 4-0. So this Missouri State team is no slouch. They might not be Portland, but I think they're just a notch down from there. They're kind of a maybe not ranked, but just outside, right? Like I think they're kind of at that level this season, and they've always got a lot of international flavor on their roster, a lot of skill, and they're always good. So it's going to be an interesting week, but somebody just has to figure out how to finish on this team. They've had too many good chances not to.
There is not a lot to talk about here for women's soccer this week, Pete.
No, we caught wind on social media. They've got a new commitment, 2027, yet another one. Lila Schenk, a center back, center mid, out of Penfield High School. I have a friend who lives in Penfield, by the way, Rochester area. She plays for the Rochester, New York FC club team. She has been invited to recent U.S. Youth National Team camps as well. So she seems like a pretty legit player. But in terms of not having much to talk about, both soccer teams only had one game this week, Zach, and both soccer teams played to a scoreless draw. So here we go again, right? The thing I would say with women's soccer is they were clearly the better team, but we've seen this before where they're the better team and they just don't come out of the game with much to show for it. Either a narrow win or a draw like this, and here we go, another 0-0 game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where the team isn't, for 5 years, this is a game that SLU walks away just absolutely dominating, putting 2 or 3 in the net. And, it's a SLU team in transition. And I think they just don't have kind of the togetherness, the team, to do it yet. And I don't think that's a slight. I think that's just kind of where the program is at right now, the phase they're going through. And I think it is just that. It's a phase. I think next year will be better. And I think even, as we get along in the season, I think you're going to see this team improve. There's no way this team is going to be very, very good. And again, still going to win the A-10. They just will not run the table in the A-10.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. This one, they outshot Illinois State 15-6, 6-1 in shots on goal, 12-2 in corners. Illinois State fouled 11 times to just 4 for SLU. So bit lopsided in the stats, not crazy. We've seen worse this season, but definitely a game. If you're out shooting a team 6-1 on goal, you want this to be something like a 2-0 win, right? Like yeah. If you just showed me the stats, that's probably what I would have guessed. Illinois State, they're good. They've gotten better, but like this is not a team that we should be getting this result against. So look, they tied a much worse Kansas City team last year. Well, I shouldn't say much worse, but that was an unexpected tie when SLU was better and Kansas City maybe wasn't as good as this Illinois State team. So it's not a ridiculous result. It's not devastating. It's not season ending. It's nothing like that. It's just a little bit disappointing. And it's a young team learning to come together. Yeah.
And I mean, it's hotter than balls out there, man.
That's the other thing.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. I mean, even that big 5 we had last year of seniors, I mean, you're going to find it difficult to get up for that shit on a Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m.
You're overanalyzing how to play your subs, keep people hydrated. Yeah. It's hard to get in a rhythm when you're doing that. So yeah, I noticed the attendance was a season low as well because people probably looked at it like,
They heard
Illinois
about the
State.
baseball coach situation.
Yeah, Illinois State, not a cloud in the sky.
Kidding.
It's blistering hot and dry outside. Maybe I'll just stay home and watch an NFL games or something instead.
Or watch it on ESPN Plus.
I mean, that's you and I. That's us. But yeah.
Yeah, not much else to say about it, to be honest. I still think this team's very good. I think they again just need to find that final finishing, much like the men. Sunday the 21st, they'll play Davidson. They did not play Davidson last year until the conference tournament where the Bills beat the Wildcats 2-0. And this was one of those where SLU was playing Davidson and people were like, well, Davidson's really good. And then you look at their schedule, or not really good, but like Davidson was good. They were high up in the standings, but again, they didn't play SLU. I don't think they played Dayton.
No, they had a good record. There's always that team, because not in soccer, not everybody plays everybody, right? So there's always that team that's kind of at the top of the standings. And then there's the other teams right below them who are good and all play each other. So they've all got a loss or a draw or whatever. And yeah, then you get to the conference tournament and kind of figure out who everybody is. And I think that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, George Mason. It's always George Mason.
Fraud Mason, as you like to call them.
Fraud Mason, potential fraud. Let's talk a little volleyball. Not a lot to talk about here, to be honest with you, either. It's a tough tournament for the Billikens. They were clearly the bye game in this tournament. 3-0, 3-0 loss against Iowa State on Friday the 12th at Iowa State. 14-25, 20-25, 18-25. I like those last two. I like those last two scores. The first set was even, obviously, until a 5-0 run put Iowa State in front, and that was it. They were gone. Cyclones started at 5-0. It was just those 5-0 runs, man. 15-13, the Billikens led in the third, and it's Iowa State. They're good at volleyball. Not much to talk about here. 250 hitting percentage, though. The Billikens held Iowa State to a team that was hitting 372. Tamia Maddox, 9 kills. Brenning, 22 assists. Mon, 14 digs. They followed it up with a 3-1 loss against Omaha. This one slightly less inspiring. Not such a good loss, but Maddox leads the team in kills again with 11. Again, she's still undersized. You're going to run into, I think Omaha had some size. Brenning had another double-double, 23 assists, 15 digs. Lucy Rankin, double-double, 15 and 10. Like I said, the size, Omaha, 13 blocks, 2 for the Billikens. So while there is, an advantage to be had in finding the smaller players, that does set you up to get blocked more and to not block as much. Next week will be awesome. The Missouri Challenge, put together by Andrea Beatty. I believe it was her idea. She wants to have it rotating every year. Kansas City, SEMO, and Missouri State are this year, and they're going to be at SLU. So I believe they want to rotate who's hosting it every year. That's Thursday through Saturday.
That's cool.
Pete, field hockey. Holy shit.
3 in a row, 2-1 win at Bellarmine on Friday the 12th. Bellarmine actually struck first just under 6 minutes into the game. But SLU got 2 in the second. The first was from Ignacio Martinez with an assist from Abby Vitas. And then at 23:07 with the match tied at 1, Bellarmine was awarded a penalty stroke. Zach, this had to be the play of the game. Abby Shallow makes herself big across the goal, stones the shot from Alicia Hudson of the Knights, and saved the game for SLU.
Yeah, that penalty was awarded with the help of VAR, and what a great save. With penalty stroke or shot saves, you always worry about the VAR coming off the line or whatever, any sort of violation. Exactly. But and I don't know if field hockey has any violations like that. I don't know. But a couple of minutes later, you talk about that old Doc Emmerich or like the hockey call. Remember that save if SLU comes back and scores? Sure as shit. A couple of minutes later, Sierra Larson scores the game winner. She took it into the circle, drove it towards goal. Shia Dry sets the screen, and that's the final, Pete.
It was, and this was an evenly played match, Zach. 6-6 in shots, 4-4 on goal, 4-4 in corners. This is the first 3-1 start since 2020 for SLU, only the second 3-1 start in 31 years. It's their first road win against a D1 opponent since 2018. And I think the vibes are pretty good with this squad, Zach. I think there's got to be this thing. You and I talked about, they've only got 15 players on their roster. They normally play with 22, 23, right? They have to like be rallying around each other in a way that's just like, we've got nothing to lose this year. We've got an interim head coach who's barely older than us. We're just like let's just go for it. And Colin Surrey said, you can tell how much fun this team is having together. They just keep getting better.
Yeah, I think so. And two, there's something to always be said about continuity. When you know, like, what were those best Ford teams when he had 7 players and he couldn't muck it up?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like right. You don't, and I'm not saying, you know, dear God, please don't take it the wrong way with Laura Herf. Like, I think she's doing something that hasn't been done in 30 years with a roster that's like short here. But I think, you know, there's something to be said when everybody knows their role. Everybody understands that they are the last, they're not coming out. They get a chance to like make mistakes and play through them and get to know each other and build that teamwork, that cohesion. And I think there is something to be said for that. I think that's a possibility here. But this Friday, the 19th, they will head to St. Joe's, followed by Sunday the 21st at St. Francis. And St. Joe's is going to be a tough one, Pete.
The Hawks are they're ranked number 13. I think when the new rankings come out, they'll probably have dropped a little bit. But they beat number 11 UConn and lost to number 18 Penn State in overtime. They also beat New Hampshire and American. And then in their last game this weekend, they lost 1-0 to number 10 Maryland. Then they'll play St. Francis up there. St. Francis is 3-3 now, having beaten LaSalle, Ball State, and Bellarmine, and losing to Bucknell, Miami, Ohio, and Indiana. Amazingly, those were all road games. SLU will only be their second home game, both this week, because they play Long Island on Friday. So these are two really, really tough games for SLU coming up in the Philadelphia area.
And I mean, that St. Francis game is a winnable one here.
It's winnable, but it's tough. You know, like they've already beaten LaSalle 2-0. You know, Bellarmine, a common opponent, they beat 4-0, right? So I think it's not out of reach. Certainly the right team on the right day could do it, but it's a tough order.
Yes. Cross country, they head to the Bradley Intercollegiate on September 19th. Women's basketball. New assistant coach. That is, it's Kyla McMakin. That is interesting, Pete.
It is, and I'm glad they fixed the original graphic that called her.
Yeah,
Kyle
not
McMakin.
not great. Let's not belabor.
But we know McMakin. It was announced on Tuesday the 9th. She played this past season in Morocco, winning a title with Ittihad Riyadi de Tangier and averaging 22 points a game. I think they went undefeated. She played 5 seasons under Rebecca Tillett, 2 at SLU, 3 at Longwood before that. So, she's young. She's now, I think that, there's an NCAA rule where as of, I think, a year and a half, 2 years ago, you can have up to 5 recruiting assistants on your staff. She's the 5th. I think only 2 of them cannot do off-campus recruiting activities, but they can when they're on campus. So, she's young. She's probably a 24, because she did 5 years and then did a pro year. That's a young assistant coach, but clearly this is someone that Tillett has a lot of faith in, and we know she likes to hire within the family, so to speak.
Yeah. By the way, do you think when you get a contract offer from Morocco, you have to read it carefully and make sure it's not a fake prince?
I mean, it's valid. I will say, from what I understand, Morocco is it's a pretty pretty modern and like kind of calm place, you know, for
Yeah.
my buddy's date, you know, he's in a relationship with someone from Morocco, and she just bought a place back there. And yeah, it seems like just there's a lot of like great cities and cool. I know they've tried to like host World Cups and stuff like that before. So yeah, Morocco's cool. Morocco's not bad. But certainly overseas basketball in general is kind of the Wild West.
I kind of want to go to Morocco now, not going to lie.
It's really
You made it sound wonderful.
She's from Casablanca. I hope they get married there because I would totally go.
Actually didn't know Casablanca was in Morocco.
It's not just a movie.
I mean, I knew what Casablanca. No. I knew it was a place. I just didn't. I probably knew at some point. We'll leave it at that. They did get a signing here. A commitment. Sorry.
A commitment. Right. Exactly. A 2026 6-foot small forward. Evelyn Shane is her name. She goes to Ursuline Academy in town. Missouri Phenom AAU, which is a Nike EYBL program. Earl Austin Jr. said Coach Tillett gets an athletic forward who has been a stellar player at Ursuline Academy. She plays with a tremendous motor. So Earl likes her. The other offers she had, LaSalle, Bradley, Evansville, Oakland, Lindenwood, SIU, American, UT Martin, Valpo, and Carnet Word, and maybe a couple others. SLU was the first to offer. They've been really good about doing that with local targets and staying involved. So another local recruiting win. Got to give the staff a lot of credit for what they've done in the 2026 and later classes. They really seem to be having some wins. And so, yeah, here we have another one.
Over on the softball diamond, there was a coaching change, not a big one. Big, you know, it's big in that it's big for her. Maxine Rodriguez, named associate head coach. She's been labeled as an assistant for the past 7 years. Knoyer said, Coach Max has helped elevate our pitching staff over the past 7 years. Her dedication and commitment to our program are exceptional. She also serves our student athletes in many aspects of the program that are behind the scenes, and those details are significant in our success. Carter LaValle, a new assistant coach, comes to SLU from Rose State College in Oklahoma. His primary role as an assistant there was hitting analytics and development. He also ran camps, did private hitting lessons, and coached a travel team. He graduated from Florida Gulf Coast Dunk City in 2023, played baseball there. He also played at Oklahoma Seminole State and LSU Shreveport before that. Pete, whether we have a baseball program or not, go Bills. That's going to do it for us.
Go Bills.